Hey everybody, I'm Daddy Sam, and you are tuned in to A Touch of Gay podcast, episode 71. This is my weekly leather-scented sit-down where I tell you what's going on at my kitchen table as well as the LGBTQ plus kitchen table of the Fishbowl in which I find myself. And today we're talking about the comeback of bathhouses in a lot of the big cities. We're talking about cruising safely. We want you to get back home, and we're going to talk about Mr. Rough Trade Gear Leather 2027. We have a winner in the big contest from last week, so let's get on with it. Every week, I like to start our show out with a little bit of what you're going to find on our social media. That's A Touch of Gay Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. We don't do the X for all the right reasons. And today's inspiration is simply this: help me listen to my inner voice. This is actually my daily inspiration that comes from a number of different things. I read one that's a daily inspiration from Native American spirituality, and I get a lot of my philosophy from that, a lot of my spirituality, and the things that inspire me from that is called The Four Seasons, is the name of the book. You can find that from Coyhus Publishing. And today simply has the four directives. Help me this day to slow down. Help me to listen quietly. Help me to watch carefully. Help me to listen to my inner voice. And one of the recurring themes with the Native American spirituality is that when we're kids, we are really tuned into that inner voice, that gut instinct that tells us things. It tells us things about the people we're around. It tells us the truth about what the adults are up to, what they're doing, whether it's good or bad, or maybe it's sketchy. It connects us to the spirits of the outside world. Children, if you think about it, children have invisible friends. Children see things and hear things that adults tend to tell them, be quiet, that's not real, you're imagining that. And as we grow into adults, many of us lose this connection to our inner voice and our gut instinct, and perhaps in some ways the spirit world, because we are told to ignore it, to discount that, to stop bringing that up, to shut up, to quit. That's silliness. Don't be a child, blah, 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 blah. And over time, a lot of us just sort of learn to ignore that. Other things get in the way as well. When we become adults, we start getting into things, whether it be good things or bad things, but we tend to start living on self-will and other forms of distraction that keep us from paying attention to that inner voice. Most of the time, that inner voice is correct. That inner hunch that we get is correct. The key is learning how to reconnect with it and learning how to listen to it. Trust it once in a while. I have found in the past decade or so that the more I listen to my inner voice, that thing that tells me something, that little feeling in my gut, that dream I have, those indications that I get. A lot of times in the recovery world, there's a saying, do the next indicated thing. Or sometimes they say, do the next right thing. For me, it's the next indicated thing. Sometimes we get signs from the universe about what we should or shouldn't be doing. And that's one of the touch points of my inner voice. It's a powerful tool that we all have innately. The question is, are we paying attention to it? So check in. I have a couple of things I want to share this week. The first one is just last night, my husband was showing me a video on his phone, a new Orville Peck video. Orville Peck is so hot. I'm not a big country music fan, but I will go to one of his concerts and I will dance. I will do all of that for Orville Peck. But in one of his latest videos, a dear friend of mine shows up in his video as one of the background guys that are dancing and moving around and doing things in the video. And it just made me smile. It made me so happy for my friend that he got this opportunity. And so, this guy moved down to LA a couple of years ago. He lives in West Hollywood, and he looks like Mr. Clean, only he's covered head to toe with tattoos, and he's got a big gold tooth in the front, and he's just got a bubbly spirit. He's fun. He's very sexy. While he looks like somebody who is a thug that would beat the hell out of you, he is a sweetheart. And it just made me so happy to see him in this video in this auto shop, dancing in the background and working on cars, doing things like that. So Chris, a shout out to you. You deserve these good things in your life. And what a fun opportunity that looked like. I'm very happy for you. Now I got to complain for a minute. I'm one of these people that you probably see on social media, although I don't do it on social media really. I guess this is a form of social media, but I am not down with all of the AI advertising, marketing, generative stuff that a lot of my local leather clubs are using now for their weekly and monthly events. I started seeing the big club down in Palm Springs using it for all of their marketing material, their website, their social media stuff. It's cringe for me. It just it's philosophical partly because I just think, there are real artists out there that could benefit from the work that you're cutting out of the picture. The other part of it is it's so just something about it just makes me cringe. It's fake and it's fantasy, which is good in the right context. But when I see a leather club or any other club or organization using AI, generative AI to create their marketing and social media, it just seems like a half measure, a shortcut that is cutting talented people out of the loop. I'm looking at my local Phoenix Leather Club here is doing this big marketing theme this month on Rome. The Roman this, the Roman that, the big empire, the sandals, the swords, the blah, blah, blah. All the big parties are themed around this. And they've created this litany. It's almost too much of all of these social media posts and posters of just these Roman gods dressing up in Roman god leather that doesn't even exist in the real world. And they're theming the parties around this. Well, great. So I'm going to go to this party. Where am I going to go get my Roman leather? The whole thing just rubs me the wrong way. I'm just so over it. I'm just so over it. And maybe I am the old guy going, get off my lawn in some ways. I'm really just looking at it from the standpoint of somebody who thinks, what did we ever do before AI? How did we create artwork for an event before AI? I've got skin in the game. Last night, my husband and I just dressed up in our leather gear and took pictures of ourselves. We did little photo shoots so that my husband had something to use for a poster he was creating for a leather event that he's part of next week. He had a concept. He could have very easily gone into one of the AI applications and created that like that. Instead, he said, hey, would you mind helping me? Let's take some pictures. And then he worked for an hour on Photoshop to put this together. And it's beautiful. It's just as alluring, as sexy as any of the stuff that I've seen from AI, but it's real. There's real people in it. So anyway, soapbox, I'm off it now. I want to talk about something that's very near and dear to me today, and that is cruising safety. I love cruising. I absolutely love it. It's something that I've really come into in my later life. And I'm talking about all forms of cruising. Not so much on the apps because they're not as fun. I do like to go to public spaces. I do like to go to adult stores. I like to go to the bathhouses, the sex clubs. And each one of those places has its own sort of, no, I don't want to say rule book, but it has its own template of how you do the cruising there, right? Because there's different levels of consent. There's different levels of intent. When you go to certain places at a bar, it's different than if you're at a sex club. Everybody's at a sex club for one reason. Not everybody at a bar is there for that reason. And so you have to sort of work it in different ways. Well, public cruising happens in parks. It happens in the woods, hiking trails. It happens in a lot of different places. While it can be the most adventurous, it could be fun and alluring. It can also be the most dangerous, if not illegal. The reason this topic is a little bit close to me is because somebody that was part of our community a couple of years ago went missing and was later found dead. It is believed that he was out cruising in the bushes. He followed a rabbit into the bushes and he met the wolf. Now, we don't know for sure whatever truly happened to him, but all the circumstances, the setup, all of the evidence point to he was out in nature doing the thing and he didn't come home. And so today I just want to go over a couple of things that came from an article we did on our website and a video called Cruising Safety. And the link to that is down in the show notes. And I just want to I have a condensed version of a few talking points because it's cruising season and I want all of you to have fun. I want all of you to cruise, but I also want all of you to come home. These are things I employ myself in my own cruising activity. And it starts with inform someone of what, where, and when. Inform somebody. If you're going to go out into the nature, if you're going to go out to the park late at night, if you're going to go somewhere that's not a bar or a public space, and even there, it's probably good to do this, let somebody know what you're doing and where you're going. Because if you go missing and nobody knows you are even gone, that can put a lot of time between the time you've actually gone missing and when people start looking for you. Always let somebody know what you're doing and where you're going. Find a trusted wingman. It can be somebody that's in your family. It can be a best buddy. If you have a good relationship with your partner and it's okay for you to go cruising, let them know about it. And that gets to the second thing, share your live location with a trusted person. Our technology that we have today is wonderful. My husband and I, we have an open relationship. We trust each other. We both like to do a lot of things with a lot of people, and that's perfectly okay. We share our location with each other all the time. So he can pick up his phone, or I can do the same at any moment, see exactly where the other person's at. Even if it's somebody who doesn't look at your location all the time, it doesn't have to be your partner. If you that's not the relationship you have with a partner or a boyfriend, you can find a trusted buddy or find somebody in your life that you can let that access be there, so that if you do go missing, there's a way to start tracking your popcorn, so to speak. It's a good backup plan to have. Have a friend go along. The more the merrier. Tell you what, if you're alone out in the woods at 3 o'clock in the morning and you run into some bad people, the likelihood that you're going to come home increases huge if you're not alone. And if you're out cruising, sometimes being with a buddy who's also cruising could be a benefit. Sometimes people like to be a lone wolf. I get that. Take a friend with you, or even if you split up and go different directions out in the cruising area, whatever that is, at least you have a person that's there that you're going to plan to meet up at the end of this. And if one of you doesn't show up, there's a red flag. So maybe take a friend. If you feel uneasy or uncomfortable at any point, leave. And that gets to that inner voice, that gut sense, that gut feeling that we talked about at our opening. More often than not, if something is off, we feel it. You look around and something's not right. You might not be able to pick out what it is, but you know something's not right. There will always be more men. If you get to a time and a place, a situation, and maybe you're around some people and something's off, leave. Doesn't matter how weird it looks or sounds or how abrupt it might be, just get out of there. There'll always be more men. Have a self-defense or an exit plan. It's always a good thing. Most of us that grew up being bullied and beat up and made fun of for being gay, we've learned how to get ourselves out of situations, whether it be coming out swinging or if it's just other defense mechanisms we've come up with. Have an exit plan. Have a way, if you go to a certain location, have a way that you know you're going to get out of that place if you have to. You look for the exits, look for the way out, know how to get out. If you're in the woods and you don't know where the hell you're at, that's not a good thing. If you don't know how to get back to your car or how to get back to the public, as it were. And that gets us to the last thing is don't use drugs or drink to excess. Now, I am not saying don't be drunk or don't be high, but if you are inebriated to a point where your senses are dulled, that inner voice, that gut instinct that we've talked about, often goes away. It's reduced. You might not pick up on red flags. You might not pick up on dangers that exist right in front of you. You might not pick up on the dangers that you can't see, but you might otherwise sense. And so it's more of a self-preservation technique. And I'm somebody who, I'm sober. I used to drink and use drugs. And there were many times where I woke up in the morning at someone's house not knowing how I got there, or maybe they were in bed with me and I don't know who they were or how they got there. I don't remember those things. And what that told me was I was in a state sometime in the night before where I don't remember what I was doing. I certainly wasn't watching out for myself. I was very lucky that I wasn't with somebody who was dangerous to the point where they were going to harm me or rob from me, steal from me, or kill me. That's why I say, be careful if you're using and drinking. Certain drugs, you might remember everything, but there's a lot of things that you suddenly don't care about. There's a lot of things that you're willing to do that you wouldn't do sober with all of your faculties. So watch out for that. There is a link down in the show notes, whether you're on YouTube or any of the podcast platforms. You can go to our article and get the entire thing. I love all of you guys. I love having fun with you guys, and I want you to be there next time I go out to do these things. Simple as that. So let's talk about bathhouses because they are a safer place to go cruising, a little bit more of a controlled environment. The great news is they are coming back to a lot of our big cities. where they had been erased in the 1980s because of the AIDS crisis. A lot of big cities, and in some cases states out there, illegalized bathhouses because of the AIDS epidemic. It was an emergency move and probably a smart one, but that was 40 years ago. And today we have medications. We know what HIV is. We know how it's spread. We know how to prevent it. We know a lot more than we did 40 years ago in terms of dealing with it. It's no longer the health emergency that it was back in the 1980s when let's just shut off the flow. Let's shut it down. And it was very similar to the idea of everyone putting masks on and separating and staying home during COVID. Here we are 40 years later. The state of New York right now is in the throes of new legislation that will lift the ban on saunas and bathhouses. From The Advocate, more than 4 decades after New York shut down adult saunas during the height of the AIDS epidemic, state lawmakers are seeking to replace what they describe as an emergency-era policy with a modern regulatory framework built around today's public health science. Last week, New York State Senator Eric Bottcher and Assemblymember Tony Simone introduced the Public Health Modernization Act, legislation that would repeal state regulations dating to 1985 that effectively prohibited adult saunas, often referred to as bathhouses. What this does is it lifts a lot of the difficulty and the shadows and the mazes that the current crop of saunas and bathhouses that do exist in New York, the clubs, they have to operate under this level of scrutiny and they have to pretend to be this, but they're really that. A lot of little things that they have to do it this way instead of that way because of the current legislation to get around the rules. This is something we see nationwide, where we go to our local bathhouse or sex club and there's things that just make you go, why do we have to do that? Why do we have to have doors and locked rooms? Why do we have to walk around with a towel in public spaces? Those kinds of things. Most of that stems from the rules that were enacted in the 80s. Now, some states had rules all along, but places like New York, they're working on legislation to open the doors for bringing it back out into the open and being upfront and honest about the business, what it is, and putting a mechanism in place that would oversee that. Now, granted, businesses probably don't like to be overseen at all, but it's a better system than what currently exists where these businesses are sort of operating in the gray area. And this also happened in June in Minneapolis. City Council there voted 9-2 to repeal their ban on adult bathhouses and sex venues. They had been banned in Minneapolis since 1988. So these are just 2 examples, but this is something, this is a movement, this is good news. In a world that we live in right now where everything is being shut down, barriers are being put up for the LGBTQ plus community by the administration and the MAGA movement, it's good to see some flowers sprouting up through the cracks on the sidewalk here and there, just to bring us hope that it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this at some point. We have a lot of rebuilding to do after this whole MAGA thing is over with, and it will be over with at some point. But for today, we have good news. We have good news because it's a lot safer to cruise in a bathhouse than it is out in the woods at 3 a.m. Next up is Mr. Rough Trade Gear Leather 2027. This was a contest that happened down in LA last week. Mr. Rough Trade Gear Leather is a title that we see at IMLBB every year. And I want to congratulate Titan for winning this year's contest. Now, Titan, also known as Pup Titan, you can find him on Instagram, Titan_of_LA, or you can find him on the Blue Sky, Pup Titan, at titanofla.bsky.social. All of those links are down in the show notes in case you don't want to just try to type that in by what I'm saying. This guy is not only handsome and beautiful, but if you look at his history on social media, he is leather. Dare I say it? Oh no, I just said this is leather. That's a bad thing to do these days, but I just want to congratulate him. He had a lot of contestants that he competed with that I thought were all great contestants. They were great examples of our leather community. And I look forward to seeing Titan at IMLBB next year if he gets to go and compete. And I wish him congratulations. And I'm just going to put it out there. I'd love to have him on our show for an interview to just get to know him a little bit and talk about what he wants to do as he's going towards next year's big contest. Yeah. And I just want to put a shout out to Motor Boot Photography who took the pictures. that we were just looking at. Catch of the week. This is, I think, 4th or 5th week now of this new feature. And this is just simply something that I see on social media that catches my eye, that just makes me smile or makes me sigh. And this week, I think it's a smile. Once in a while, I follow a lot of artists and photographers because I love the creative work that they do. And it tends to be people in the leather fetish and kink community, that the artists that I follow. And this guy is photography, Sam Waxman. He goes by Wham Saxman on Instagram. That is a link also down in the show notes. I was scrolling through all of his work and looking at his vibe, which is kind of this nice sort of grainy 1970s vibe a little bit, but it's got a reality to it that he's catching people in moments that sometimes they're posing for, but other times, sometimes it's just candid. And I happened to come across this post from IMLBB last spring, and going through the pictures that he caught at the contest and around the contest, again, sort of that 1970s-ish grainy vibe, and boom, there's a picture of me and my husband sitting in the audience. I'm like, wow, I'm on TV. And I was shot by somebody who I really respect as a photographer. So it kind of made me smile. It made me cringe a little bit too, because I don't necessarily always like myself in pictures. It's pretty rare that I like the way I look in pictures. And this one, I think I look awful in this picture. I look haggard. I look tired. The lighting is awful. What are you going to do? The photographer seemed to think the picture was good enough to put on his thing, either because look at these fools or because look at these handsome leather men. I don't know what his thought was on that photo, but it was a reality shot for sure. I was kind of tired and haggard. This would have been probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 nights into IMLBB, and it's work to go through that. It's by the end of the contest nights, you are getting there. So yeah, Sam Waxman photos, Wham Saxman on Instagram. Check him out. He's a great photographer. He deserves a look. And that's all we have for our show today. A Touch of Gay Pod is our handle on all of the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Our podcast drops every Sunday on all the major food groups of social media platforms. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, you can see all the chiclets there on the graphic. And our YouTube version drops every Friday or Saturday just before that Sunday. Depends on when I get the edit done. It's just a little bit early. It's a bonus for watching. Another bonus for watching is you get to see me and what I'm wearing. And today I am bare-chested with all of my hair just oozing out everywhere. And I'm wearing my Mr. S leather harness and my Mr. S armbands, both sides, because I'm versatile. And yes, I am flagging red. I know what that means. So there's that. So if you like what we do, you can see our latest video right there on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, and right below that, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We need more subscribers. The more, the merrier. If you're listening to us on a podcast platform, please do subscribe there and leave us a nice review. Either way, stay tuned.